its inner sciences in America. He is also the Director of Islamic Studies at Clara Muhammad School at Masjid Khalifa, also in Brooklyn. He is a son of New York, as his journey has taken him full circle through the Black Panther Party in his youth, the Nation of Islam, the community of Imam Wafdi Muhammad, living in Medina Munawwara, joining Tariqa in Sudan, and returning to community activism in NYC. His specialty is interfaith dialogue and purification of the heart. And so, alhamdulillah, Shaykhna is going to speak about purification of the heart. We ask you to welcome again Shaykh Abdul Rasheed. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. With the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I openly bear witness that nothing deserves to be worshipped except Allah without partner. And I openly bear witness that Muhammad, to whom the Quran is revealed, is his slave, servant, and messenger. I greet everybody in the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. I don't like mic stands. Never have. Alhamdulillah. It's good to be amongst you again. It's good to be amongst the family, because that's what we are, family. And tonight, we will be attempting to make the connection between spirituality and the components of family life.
Allah Akbar.
Because in actuality, the family life, the father, the mother, the husband, the wife, and the children are the physical manifestation of a spiritual union. A union that has been ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as we take a little journey and we travel along the path and we make the connection between spirituality and reality. Because right now, what we have been ordained to do spiritually is not matching up with what we're really doing. So, on the path of spirituality and all of the spiritual paths of what we call tasawwuf, or which is commonly known in English as Sufism, it begins with everyone, path begins with Tauba or repentance. Tauba or repentance literally means to stop. When you take it upon yourself to enter into a spiritual path, the first thing that is prescribed is Tauba or repentance, which literally means to stop and turn around. Same as when you enter into the intent of marriage. When you enter into the intent of marriage, the first concept that must enter into your psyche is that whatever direction you're going in your behavioral pattern, in your pre-marital state or your premarital intent has to stop. It's got to stop. You can't bring it into your new path because it won't fit. There will be a dysfunction. There will be a disruption. So within this concept of Tauba, which goes back to the root word at-tawwab, which is one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes, the acceptor of repentance, means that whatever direction in which we have been headed spiritually, there must be a recognition within ourselves that we're going in the wrong direction. And there must be a commitment within ourselves that we want to stop what we're doing. Because just recognition of the fact that you're going in the wrong direction, but if you're not committed to stop it, it don't mean nothing. Recognizing I'm going in the wrong direction. Recognizing I'm doing something wrong. But I'm not going to stop it. This is not Tauba. Tauba is the recognition that you're going in the wrong direction and the solemn vow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're going to stop it. Then, after recognizing that you're going in the wrong direction, making a solemn vow to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're going to stop it, you must then follow up those bad deeds in which you have been committed or committing with good deeds. So a process of atonement must begin. You must begin to atone within yourself for the deeds that you have been committing against yourself by following them up with good deeds. So if you have been committing destructive actions against yourself, you must now begin to commit or do productive actions towards yourself. Same thing. If pre-marriage or pre-intent of marriage, our concept of relationship between man and woman was destructive and abusive, then it must stop. And not only must it stop, but there must be an atonement for it. And that atonement is woven within the concept of the marriage contract. That you are solemnly vowing that from that point on, your relationship will be within the confines of the definition of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has defined a man and woman to be married. That's only if in the concept of Tauba, the commission of sin or the commission of disobedience to Allah was against yourself. The actions were offensive and abusive to yourself. But in the case where the actions or offense or abuse was against another human being, then there's another component of Tauba. Your Tauba will not be accepted merely by recognizing that you're doing something wrong, stop doing it, making a firm commitment to turn around, following it up with good deeds, and asking Allah to forgive you. The abuse, if it is against another human being, you must seek the forgiveness of that human being. You must go to that human being and seek their forgiveness. So, on the spiritual path, on every tariqah, within the concept of what we call tasawwuf or Sufism, it all begins with Tauba. But see, what I've come to realize is that many times now we hear lectures from knowledgeable people, but somehow that which is being talked about or related is unable to make a connection to the world that we're existing in. In the world that we exist in right now, as the Imam so eloquently said as he talked before me, is a world of confusion, a world of total anarchy, disobedience to Allah. So if what the speaker is saying can't make a connection to the world that we live in when we leave here, then everything that was said stays in this room. It's of no benefit. The connection must be made. You must learn something. You must benefit something. You must take something from what's being said. So, as the Imam said he had to leave, he said because, you know, Imams deal with issues that you know, he can't even speak about. I can relate to that. Because I get calls all time of the night, all time of the day, constantly. Especially with the advent of cell phones, it never stops. But I'm mandated by the allegiance that I took to my Shaykh to do what he has prescribed and ordered me to do, that I must answer the phone. I don't have a choice. Sometimes I don't want to, but they ain't got nothing to do with my wants. So many of the phone calls that are coming over now, that are coming constantly to me right now, is coming through and about the breakdown of family life and the breakdown of male-female relationship within the Muslim community. And like the Imam said, he said he hope he get out of here alive. Well, I'm going to be running behind him by the time I finish, because I got some things to say, and they're going to be said. I ain't scared. Don't really care. That's just how I roll. So the second component on the spiritual path after Tauba, you have to first reach the station or maqam, because within the concept of tasawwuf we have two manifestations. We have hal and we have maqam. Hal is like comparative in the English language to emotions or states. That's why we have the term in English, altered states. We are constantly going through emotional changes. Maqam is station. Once you have reached a spiritual maqam, it doesn't alter, it's permanent. So in beginning the spiritual process, it must begin with the seeking of the forgiveness of Allah. But before you can seek the forgiveness of Allah, you must first recognize that there's something to be forgiven. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at-Tawwab, and then no one ever repented, then how can he be al-Tawwab? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Ghafur, and no one ever sought forgiveness, then how can he forgive? So the first process of the spiritual path always begins with the seeking of Allah's forgiveness. And the first step towards the intent between a man and a woman of matrimony must begin. It must begin with the seeking of the forgiveness of every error that was made in the past, intentionally or unintentionally, overtly or covertly, knowingly or unknowingly, that is not in accord with what Allah and His Messenger says it should be. And this is why something that doesn't start off right, if the seeds are not planted right, in fertile ground, it will not produce productive fruit. So when a man comes to a woman and he sees an interest in that woman, the process must begin by him taking the proper necessary steps to go through her Wakil. To go through her Wakil. Allah is our Wakil, the protector, the one who is the guardian. But see, what's happening is that so many brothers are trying to circumvent that process, trying to get around it. And in trying to get around it, they are intentionally or unintentionally using the same tactics that the people in the street use when they want to approach a woman, because they haven't begun the process of Tauba within their process of seeking a wife. So they grow beards, some of them very long. Not like mine, some of them like this. And they wear short pants, shorter than mine. And they speak a little Arabic, much better than mine. But they're utilizing this as a tool for the same con pimp game that they was using in the street. Same thing. Except now it's worse. Because now they're using it in the name of Allah. Now they're hiding their evil intent and their lower desires behind religion. And in many cases, this makes them worse than the people in the street. The second process on the spiritual path after Tauba is Taqwa. Taqwa. Taqwa is a vast conceptual word. God consciousness, fear of Allah, fear of displeasing Allah. All of these, when you say the word taqwa in Arabic, all of this is conducive. All of this is inclusive. So in the bringing together of a man and a woman, after the concept of turning around their actions, which they, him or her, are bringing in from their street life, now a sense of God consciousness must develop within the relationship, that from this point on, we are conscious of the fact that what we are doing, what we are saying, why we are saying it, when we are saying it, and where we are saying it, that Allah is our Shaheed, a witness. And Allah is our Sami, listening. And Allah is our Basir, the seeing. Because this next maqam of taqwa is when the spiritual self opens up to a consciousness of Allah's all-encompassing power and awareness over all things. That there is no power and there is no might except with Allah, the Most High, the Mighty, the Great, and with certainty all praise is due to Allah. And alhamdulillah, like the Imam said, he said he got 3 children, alhamdulillah. I just sat back and smiled. I got 23 grandchildren and 8 children. 23 grand, 8 children. And as of 3 days ago, alhamdulillah, I am a great-grandfather. Somebody asked me, I told them today, I just came from a ceremony celebrating the coming of a new life. Just came before I came here. And I said that, and somebody said, well, how do you feel about it? I said, I feel great. That's why I'm a great-grandfather. How am I supposed to feel? But I'm not saying nothing tonight that I do not say to myself. Because I never preach or teach to anyone but myself. Because on the day of judgment, on the akhirah, like the Imam said, no one is going to be concerned about anyone else but themselves. So I always approach these lectures or speeches as if I'm speaking to myself and you're just listening. And if anything that I might be saying touch home, that only means that that's the manifestation of the fact that the Prophet ﷺ has said that we are mirrors of each other. But I'm talking to myself. So in coming into the relationship between a man and woman, there must be a concept of taqwa that develops, that now that we have repented and turned around our behavior, our street life behavior, our pimp behavior, our game behavior, our hustler behavior, our get-over behavior. Now we have to realize that from this point on, and following the methodology of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as it was prescribed to him in the Quran, that now we must do it the way that it should be done, and that Allah has awareness and is a witness of all that we do. If that level of taqwa is not within the process from the beginning, if it's not within the process from the beginning, that's why I get the phone calls every day. Sisters crying, crying. Brothers banging their head on the wall. Shaykh, what's wrong? Because the process did not start off correctly. Because you brought the same disease out of the Jahiliyyah into the Deen. Therefore, not bringing it into the Deen, but bringing it into a religion that you have configured in your mind, but has nothing to do with the Deen of Islam. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. No thing. And it makes no sense. Therefore, it's nonsense. So you have the maqam of Tauba, and you have the maqam of Taqwa. Taqwa. You're coming into the relationship, man and woman, with the intent. There's only one intent. There could be only one intent. That's marriage. That's marriage. And see, in order for that intent to be solidified, that is for real, that's why the Wakil is there. The first sign that there's some type of twisted idea to circumvent, to get to an objective without following the proper means, is that the man does not want to go through a Wakil. Them brothers, they don't know nothing. He only her Wakil because he probably want to get with him. So that's what they say. So they start running game on the women. And we are living in an era, in an age where there is an overabundance of single women. This is a fact. Fact. There is an overabundance of single women. And the Prophet ﷺ said that this overabundance of single women will become a fitna upon the community. And most of these single women, which by their nature desires the companionship of a man, are lonely and vulnerable. And these predators in beards and kufis know that. They know it. They know. Because they've been running game all their life. Don't think just because they become Muslim, they forget how to run game. In fact, many of them become better game runners. They can pop better game now. Because they can jab a little Arabic on you. You don't even know what they're saying, but it sounds good. It sounds sweet. It's like, oh my God, man, this Arabic is just blowing me away. You don't know what he's saying, but it sounds good. So you have Tauba, you have Taqwa. These are maqams of spirituality. The next maqam or station along the spiritual path of tasawwuf is tawakkul, which comes from the attribute of Allah, al-Wakil, the one who is worthy of all trust. Al-Wakil, tawakkul. Remember, the first sign that there's something wrong is that there is a need to circumvent the Wakil. It comes from the same root. Allah is al-Wakil. And Tawakkul comes from the same root. The reason that the Wakil is there is for the protection of the woman, to protect her from herself. More so than to protect her from the man. Because now that man got to deal with a man. Mano to mano. I got my daughter, my youngest daughter right now. She want to get married. Beautiful brother. Beautiful brother. I like him. He's cool. Everything is good. We were just together the other night. We hang out, you know. I like hanging out with young folk. I avoid you old dudes, man. I really do. I got to tell you the truth. I avoid you all, man. I like hanging out with young people, man. So I'm hanging out with my young daughter and her intended. But I'm letting them know from the beginning, from the start, how this works. You got to come through me. And not only am I letting him know from the beginning, from the start, and I told him straight up. I said, you mess with this one, you abuse this one, you take advantage of this one, you don't give her rights, you don't give her due, and don't let me hear you put a hand on her, I'll kill you. And I won't lose a night of sleep, because that's mine. That's my baby. And ain't no man gonna put a hand on her. I let him know from the beginning. I'll kill you. And he just said, yeah, Shaykh. So we have this development of the spiritual process. We have Tauba, Taqwa, the Wakil. Within the concept of the Wakil is to develop a trust between the man and woman, but that trust has to have a mediator. And see, alhamdulillah, you know, a title that my Shaykh, may Allah give him intimacy, gave me, he said, you the Shaykh that America produced. That's what he said. That mean if a Negro come through me, ain't too much game he gonna run on me that I ain't ran. Ain't too much game that my daughter gonna come back and told me he said that in my days of ignorance, I didn't tell a woman. And I knew why I told her what I told her, and I know why he telling her what he trying to circumvent and tell me and tell her. So I told her, anything that he tells you, you come back and run it through me. That's why I'm here. To protect you from that pillow talk. So there must be a sense of trust. What's happening now is that so many people, so many young and older people, because like I said, there is abundance of single people, especially single women. But the Prophet ﷺ said in the latter days that a man would be responsible for 10 women. He didn't say 10 wives. We already know you can only have 4 of them. He said 10 women. That could be daughters, that could be your mother, that could be your sisters, or that could be women in the community, but still, it would get to a point where one man would be responsible for 10 women. But the crucial word in that term is man. Where are the men? There's a lot of boys around here. A lot of boys. Where are the men? See, when I came into Islam, becoming a Muslim was synonymous with becoming a man. It was synonymous. It was synonymous with becoming a man. And synonymous with becoming a man is taking on the responsibilities of manhood. Taking on the responsibilities of manhood. Just because you can make a baby, that don't make you a man. That don't make you a man. With being a man comes responsibility. And part of that responsibility is clearly defined in the Quran, that the men are the providers and protectors and maintainers of the women. And we know from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that inclusive within that, and I know a lot of us men don't want to hear this, but this is what was said. I'm not making this stuff up. Within the context of being the provider and maintainer and protector of the woman is that the things that we expect from her that is beyond her obligation as a wife, those extra things that we want, that we mandate, she don't have to give them. Of course, in the society that we live, it would be advantageous to work together. Because if you put too much pressure on the man, you're going to break him. And he already broke enough. So you don't want to break him past the point of being double broke. So it's to your advantage to work together. But this demands trust. Trust must be built up between the man and woman. And see, there's something about trust even in the English language. Trustworthy. Earn trust. You see? Trustworthy. Earn trust. You have to earn my trust. You have to be worthy. I have to be worthy of your trust. Even in English. Now, in the Western concept of relationships, so much emphasis is put on love. And we're going to get to love in a minute. But so much emphasis is put on love, but not put on love, but put on falling in love. And I always quote my father when he told me one time, he's like, he was about my age then, but he was old then. Now he's my age, so I guess I'm old. He was about my age when he told me this. He said, I ain't ever fell in love. What? I said, never did it. So why not? He said, because the concept of falling into something just didn't make sense. So why would you want to fall? Like, you ever seen the commercial, I'm falling and I can't get up? Everybody done seen that commercial. I'm falling and I can't get up. And there was an old song back in the 70s or the 60s, I fooled, listen to the words, I fooled around and fell in love. So people often criticize the Islamic methodology of marriage because they say that you don't give time to fall in love. Y'all don't experience enough to fall in love. But for us, falling in love is not the objective. Because you can be in love, and anybody that's ever been married, and I'm sure most of us have at least once, anybody that's ever been married, they know that you can fall in love tonight and be out of love tomorrow. That's why the police say the worst of all cases that they want to respond to is domestic. We got a domestic. It's like, oh man. Well, if that's true for the police, then it's also true for the sheikhs and the imams. I can deal with it, this, that, clean, domestic. Oh man. Because they out of love tonight, tomorrow they in love. They arguing tonight, tomorrow they's like. So I don't stress love or falling in love. I said, do you trust each other? Because if you don't trust each other, it ain't gonna last. Because trust must be earned and you must be worthy of trust. Therefore, if that trust is broken, you might still love him. You might still love her, but you don't trust him. You don't trust him. It's hard to put trust back together once it's broken. And sometimes it could be broken from marriage day. Before the honeymoon start, trust already broken. The trust is already broken. And now you're venturing on a process thinking that it's going to last for life, and you don't even trust each other from day one. So we have Tauba, correct? Taqwa, correct? Wakil, trust. The dhikr of Tauba is Astaghfirullah Azim huwa Tawwabur Rahim. Astaghfirullah Azim huwa Tawwabur Rahim. I seek the forgiveness of Allah, and He is the acceptor of repentance. The dhikr for the station of Taqwa is La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi ali azim. There is no power and there is no might except with Allah, the Most High, the Mighty, the Great. The dhikr for the station of Tawakkul, which is total trust in Allah, is Hasbunallah wa ni'ma Wakil. Hasbunallah wa ni'ma Wakil. Hasbunallah wa ni'ma Wakil. Allah alone is enough, and Allah will take care of all my affairs. Got it? Feeling it? Allah alone is enough, and Allah will take care of what? All my affairs. The first time that this dhikr was uttered was by Ibrahim alayhi salam. When his father came to him and said, just give up this monotheic nonsense and come back to the polytheism of your people. And the fire was blazing. He said, and we won't throw you in the fire. He said, Hasbunallah wa ni'ma Wakil. Allah alone is enough for me, and Allah takes care of all of my affairs. And the fire became a garden. Well, we, in this society that we live in, we're surrounded by fire. Everywhere we look out the window, everywhere we turn, everywhere we smell it, we see it, we taste it, we hear it, we feel it. The fire, we are in the midst of the fire. And the people of the fire are beckoning us away from Tawheed. Just give this up, and you won't get burnt by the fire. Say, Hasbunallah wa ni'ma Wakil. And this fire, like Abraham's fire, will become a garden. No doubt, no question, if you believe. If you believe. But do you think that you will be allowed to say you believe and not be tested? Do you think you say, like if I was asked, how many people believe? Everybody's hand would go up. But do you really believe? The Prophet ﷺ was told in the Quran, tell them desert Arabs. And to me, desert Arab is just another word for nigger. Tell them niggas. Because that's what they are. Tell them niggas. Stop saying you believe. Say only that you Muslim. Desert Arab, because that was like an insult. You know, they didn't like being called desert Arab. They wanted to be like the Quraysh, you know, the elite. So desert Arabs, like, you know, like they come in all dirty, grimy, you know, Slick Willie, you know, Slick Abdul, whatever. Tell them niggas stop saying they believe. Because nigga ain't race. Nigga's a state of mind. So we gotta get past that. It's not about race. I was in Washington Square the other night, and this white dude walked up to me, and he said, I'm a nigga. Right. And I said, I would never have thought anything different. Why would I have thought anything different looking at you? You are the personification of a nigga. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told it, say to the desert Arab, tell these cats stop saying they believe. Just tell them that they have submitted, that they've taken shahada. Why? Because belief is not in their heart. It's not in their heart. And what does the heart have to do with it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that nothing in creation can contain Allah. But if anything in creation was to contain Allah, it would be the heart of a believer. So how can something that is filthy and impure contain that which is absolute purity, unless it has gone through a process of purification, which is about what the tasawwuf is all about. So we have Tauba, we have Taqwa, we have Tawakkul, total trust in Allah. Then we have the station of Rida, like in radiyallahu anhu, Rida, this state of contentment, of total resolve. Contentment. Because happiness, people say, people often ask me, are you happy? I'm like, nah. Like, why not? Because the happier you get, the sadder you're gonna get. The more you go up, the further you'll fall. But if you're content, if there's a sense in your heart of contentment for whatever Allah sends, for whatever Allah gives, for whatever Allah puts you through, for wherever Allah takes you in life, if you are content with it, then it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, know that everything I send unto a believer is for their own good. Anything other than good comes from the doing of their own selves. Anything that comes from Allah is good. Allah says within every difficulty there is ease. With certainty within every difficulty there is ease. So it's all good. Once you have reached this station of contentment, then the trials and the tribulations of life in and of themselves become means of drawing Allah's consciousness, your consciousness of Allah's nearness to you. Because we make the tragic error of asking, oh Allah, let me get closer to you. Oh Allah, let me get closer to you. But when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, whence comes the help of Allah? He says the help of Allah is near. Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. Allah comes between you and your own heart. We're just not conscious of Allah's nearness to us. We're not conscious of Allah's nearness to us. Allah is not distant, not far. Allah is near. He's nearer to you than your jugular vein, than your own self, than the blood that pumps through your heart. He's nearer to you than that. So Rida, contentment. Whatever Allah sends, it's all good. No complaints. The believer, there's no complaints. There's no complaints. Who are you complaining to? And what you complaining about? Because whatever you're complaining about, there's someone in a worse condition. And whoever you're complaining to is probably in a worse condition than you. Spoke of her, here she is. There they are. The lovebirds have arrived. Great, perfect timing. I might have to rehearse a little bit, backtrack. I just ask it like this. Young man that just came in. Did you go through me and ask to marry my daughter, yes or no? And did I not tell you, if you bring any harm to her psychologically, emotionally, physically, in any way, I will kill you?
Yes, you did.
All right, that's enough. So, alhamdulillah for confirmation. I didn't know they were coming in. And you agreed to those terms, correct?
I did.
I can't hear you.
Yes, I did.
Right. You better have it. What else you wouldn't be with her? This ain't no joke. That's the problem. We joking with this thing. We playing with it. So after contentment comes the station, the spiritual station known as Shukr, which comes from the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala al-Shakur. Allah is the grateful, which in English extends to the word gratitude. So in gratitude, well, let me just regress a little bit and saying, and then in the marriage context, no matter what happens within the marriage now, the trials and tribulations, nobody perfect, we all imperfect. If you're looking for perfection in a man or a woman, you're just going to be looking for the rest of your life, because it don't exist. That's where tolerance comes in. But to be content within the context of the fact that you are first compatible with this individual. Compatibility is very important. Extremely important. People go into marriages knowing they're not compatible with the person and then wonder why it don't work out. Compatibility. Then tolerance. Acceptance of the imperfection within us all. Once you have tolerance and acceptance of imperfection, now your marriage becomes a lifetime commitment to deal with all the situations that life might confront as a team. Because if you're confronting those situations as two individuals, regardless of how much you love each other, it's not going to last. So if Allah is grateful, how do we show our gratitude to Allah in closing? How do we show our gratitude to Allah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs nothing? Allah is in need of nothing. He don't need our prayers. You think Allah needs us to stand up? He don't need that. Allah would be just fine if everybody stopped praying. If everybody on the planet stopped praying, Allah would be just fine. Nothing would change for Allah. You think Allah needs our charity? Allah needs nothing. Allah don't need our fast. Allah don't need our Hajj. Allah needs none of that. So how do you show your gratitude to Allah? You show your gratitude by being grateful for the gifts and the favors in which Allah has bestowed upon you and by serving your fellow human beings. And the Prophet ﷺ has said that the greatest gift and the greatest favor that Allah can bestow upon a man is a God-fearing, believing wife. That's what he said. That's what he said. And then the Quran also goes on to say, which of the favors will you deny? Which of the greater favors could you deny than a God-fearing, believing wife? But if you carrying those same mentality of these Negroes out here on the corner, then you ain't looking for no God-fearing, believing wife. You like Belle Biv DeVoe. You chasing a big butt and a smile. That's all it is. That's all it is. But now you done masqueraded in the cloak of religion. But it's the same thing. So, you show your gratitude to serving humanity. The greatest gift that Allah can bestow upon a man is a God-fearing, believing woman. Because, like in the case of Brother Nail, it is through this woman that life continues. So if you abuse a woman, then you're disobeying a commandment of Allah in the Quran when Allah says that we should reverence the womb that bore us. And every woman is an extension of the wombs that bore us. And they should be respected and honored in the highest degree, in the highest level. And see what I just did to this young man that came in, how I immediately put him on the spot? And like I said, I didn't know they were coming in. But I immediately put them on the spot. It's time for us to stop putting some of these men that go from woman to woman to woman to woman, using and abusing and taking advantage of them. It's time to make it public who they are, what they are, where they are, when they are. I don't care what university they went to. I don't care how much Arabic they speak. I don't care how long their beard is. I don't care. Because none of that means nothing. In the same way that I told this young man that what I would do if he would abuse my daughter, each and every man in this room should take the same attitude towards every sister sitting over there. If we know of an abusive man that is taking advantage of women, they should be exposed. Their names should be made public. We got to stop this. Because if we don't stop it, it's going to eat away at us like a cancer. Because it already is. I'm telling you, every day. Every day. Every day. But then, alhamdulillah, there will come a call from a couple that are doing good. A couple that are having children. A man that is taking on the responsibility of a man, and a woman that is fulfilling her natural born and a woman instinct and fitra, and she is obeying her husband, and she is helping her husband to become a better man so that he can better provide and maintain her. And that makes it balance out. So after Shukr, we have two more stations. After Shukr, we have Sabr, patience. Patience. The reward for every good deed is measured, but the reward for patience is beyond measure. Because especially within the dynamic of the man-woman relationship within the marriage context, if you don't have patience with each other, not only is it not going to last, but plates and dishes going to be flying. I done had a few through at me in my day. Serious. I got pretty good at it. It was like a frisbee. Pow. Patience. Allah is al-Sabr. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be patient with us, are you kidding me? He says, were I to hold you to task, I wouldn't leave a single one of you on the earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is patient with us through all of our mistakes and sins and imperfections and all of the things that we do that we shouldn't do and don't do and that we should be doing. Allah is patient with us. So we have to be patient with each other. And in the marriage component, I've been married all my adult life. All my adult life. I don't even know what it's like to be single. I've been married to 3 different women, but I've never been single. There was never no gaps. So I really don't know what it's like to be single. But I know enough that I hear from single people that I don't want to be single. I'm glad I was married. People say, you missed out. Well, what I missed out on, I'm quite content that I'm glad I missed out on whatever single life provided you. Because marriage life was enough for me. But the reason I think that I've been able to be married for so long, throughout my entire adult life, I got married when I was 20 years old, still married. Like I said, 3 women, but never gap. Is because I was patient. And because they were patient with me. In fact, I actually think they were more patient with me than I was them. I think I'm a harder case to be patient with than they were for me to be patient with them. For the life of me, I don't know how they stayed married to me, tell you the truth. I don't know. I don't get it. But they did. And for that alone, may Allah give each and every one of them the highest level of Jannah and intimacy for being able to stay married to me. Because I don't think I could be married to myself. I'd be like, patience. Patience. The reward for patience is beyond measure. Beyond measure. But patience in the English language is different than sabr. Patience in the English language denotes just sitting down. Like if I'm sitting down waiting for the bus, be patient. No. Sabr means to patiently persevere. And if you're persevering, that means you have to have a goal. You have to have objectives. Every marriage must have goals and objectives in which to accomplish together as husband and wife. If you don't have objectives to accomplish together as husband and wife, it ain't gonna last. And if you do have objectives to accomplish as husband and wives, you better have patience. Because it might not happen when you think it's supposed to happen, or how you think it's supposed to happen, or when or where or why you think it's supposed to happen. But if it is decreed by Allah, it will happen. And in the process of being patient within the marriage, you have to continue persevering towards your appointed goal and purpose of the marriage. And finally, last station, hub, love. Now in the West, they start with this. Like, no, you gotta be in love. You gotta fall in love. I tell you about that falling. Like, trust me. Trust me. I almost did it. I slipped one time. Woo! Caught myself. So I heard my father's voice. I almost fooled around and fell in love. Had I fell, I might still be falling. Love. Love comes from the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-Wadud. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of all love. So that if there is any love in a man-woman relationship, that love must be tied to the love of Allah. It must be. It must be divinely connected to the love of Allah. If it's not divinely connected to the love of Allah, then it is shadowed, veiled lust. That's all it is. It's shadowed, veiled lust. Like an animal. But if it's really love, then it has to be connected to the source of love, al-Wadud. It has to have within it a divine component that connects it with the intention of not only do I want to stay married to this man or woman in this life, but I want this man or woman in paradise. You know, we talk about the Huris and I want my wives. If they happen to be Huris, that's even better. I mean, you want all three of them? Yeah, they don't have to be in the same paradise together, though. We can have separate paradises now. I don't want to put them all up in there together, though. I learned from the dunya. We can, but you could have separate paradises. Like paradise is like whatever, So you could be in 3 different paradises at one time, but I don't want to be in one paradise with all 3 of those women, no. It wouldn't be fair to them. They'd be like, wow, he done put us all here together, he done messed up our paradise. I don't want that. So they could have their own separate paradises, and I would be there with each one. But love is the essence of the component that must be connected to divine reality of Allah. You must love that woman and love that man See, most Muslims like to say, I love you for the pleasure of Allah. They say this. Those of us on the Sufi path, sometimes you don't hear us say, I love you for the pleasure of Allah. You just say, I love you. We just say, I love you. I might walk up to a sister after I get out of here and say, I love you. And some brother might hear me, might say, Astaghfirullah. He didn't say for the pleasure of Allah. Because within the path of tasawwuf, there can be no love that's not for the pleasure of Allah. It's impossible. It can't be any love that's not for the pleasure of Allah. If love is not for the pleasure of Allah, then it's not love. So you could add the extra sentence if you want, but I just love you. And remember, two categories of people who will be in the shade on the day of judgment, when there will be no shade, that were directly correlated with these few moments that I gave you. One will be people who came together seeking nothing except from each other, except the pleasure of Allah, and Allah will give them shade. Another will be, and we have to be inclusive, especially in these times, because the wording of the translation many times opens the door for questions about male or female relationship and superiority of one over the other. When the Prophet ﷺ said there's no superiority over the man or the woman, the one that is most superior in the eyes of Allah is the one with the most taqwa. So, a man or a woman who find themselves in a position like Yusuf alayhi salam with Zuleika, where he could have, but he didn't. He fled. And the proof of it was that his jacket or his coat was torn from the back. A man or a woman that finds himself in such a position and flees, there will be shade on the day of judgment when there will be no shade. But even if you find yourself in that position and you don't flee, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, with certainty do not despair of the mercy of Allah, because if you come unto Allah sincerely repenting, seeking Allah's forgiveness, with certainty Allah is most forgiving and most merciful. So there's nothing. Shaitan says, oh, you done messed up. We all done messed up. Oh, you done did it now. You might as well keep on doing it. You in it now. No, get out. Like the movie, get out. You don't have to be trapped up in it. Get out. If you feel trapped, get out. It's better for you, and it's better for all that's concerned. Get out. But get out with dignity. Get out with respect. Get out with tolerance. Get out with love. The same way you went in, get out. And Allah will make it all good. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything of good that came from these words that I said, it has nothing to do with me. I'm totally detached from all the good that might have been benefited from what I said. I don't even want nobody to think that it came from me. It might have came through me, but it came from Allah. And all praise is due to Allah and Allah alone. And anything other than good came from me. Anything other than good that I stood in front of you. That's why I ask people, why do they want to be in this position of standing up here? You got to be out of your mind. You got to be crazy. I was going to say you must be on crack, but it must be something worse than crack. Because I don't even think a crackhead, if he had any sense, would want to be up here telling people how to get to Jannah when they themselves are not doing what they're saying. That's why it'll be in Jannah. You'll be standing there. All of y'all be glowing and happy and all celebrating and it's so good. We see each other in Jannah. And you look around and say, "Where's Shaykh Rasheed?" Remember that night he was there? He told us all those things. We took all those notes. We recorded it and we put them into practice. And because of him, we're here. Where is he? Allah said, "Take a look. You see him. He down in the lowest depths of the hellfire. You think I don't realize that? You think that doesn't go through my mind every day? And that should go through every imam's mind every day. That should go through every scholar's mind every day. That should go through every public speaker, every lecturer's mind every day as they stand before the people presenting something that they're not really representing within themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Why do you say that which you do not do?" Which certainly is hateful in the sight of Allah that you say that which you do not do. Anybody that wants to have this seat, you can have it right now. You can have it from me. But I don't have any choice. It was given to me, so I have to fulfill it. May Allah bless us and reward us and have mercy on us, and forever send peace and blessings upon our beloved messenger, his beloved messenger, and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all the rightly guided servants until the day of judgment. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Takbir! 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 Takbir!
Imam, your fellow Imam has a question.
Question for you.
Yeah. In terms of forgiveness, I know we should have forgiveness for ourselves. But what about for something someone else did to us?
Of course.
And the second question is, when we deal with each maqam, each station, do we have to, complete one before we can deal with the next one?
Well, within each maqam there is degrees upon degrees upon degrees. The foundation of that maqam must be established before building the foundation of the next. But the evolution of each maqam is ongoing throughout the entire spiritual process.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, what we're going to do now is to prepare to make the dhikr. And after dhikr, we will pray Salatul Isha. I believe it'll be about 10:15, inshallah. And after Salatul Isha, then we'll go home. Or you can stay and talk for a little while. So inshallah, we ask you please to move the chairs similar to just the same way when we were making salat. And we will make dhikr. Yes. How